Good morning students. Myself Megha Goswami, Assistant Professor Mahatma Gandhi Physiotherapy College. Today I am going to talk about physiotherapy in shoulder dislocation. Shoulder joint. So let's talk about shoulder joint. It is a ball and socket type of joint. The shoulder joint movement occurs where the ball at the top of your arm bone fits into the socket, that is the glenoid, which is a part of the shoulder blade. The arm is normally held in a socket by soft tissue which fits into the joint like a socks. This is stabilized by the fibrous tissue capsules, muscles, tendons that rotate them. The shoulder joint is a classical example of a dynamic stabilization. Muscle forces serve primarily mechanism for securing the shoulder girdle to thorax and provides a stable base of support for the upper extremity. This is a picture showing the shoulder joint. Shoulder dislocation. Now what is shoulder dislocation? Dislocation means there is a complete loss of the glenohumeral articulation. Now subluxation, that means there is a partial loss of articulation. Laxicity, the partial loss of the glenohumeral articulation but the patient is asymptomatic. Dislocation occurs when the ball is wrenched out of the socket. Force required to do this can also tear or partially tear the muscles, ligaments and shoulder capsules surrounding the joint. It commonly occurs in adults. Anterior dislocation is more common. The mechanism of the shoulder dislocation. There is a very common history that there is a fall on the outstretched hand with the shoulder abducted and externally rotated, and this is a very common mechanism of the injury. Generally it results from the direct force pushing the humerus head out of the glenoid cavity. This is the common cause of the anterior dislocation. The posterior dislocation results from the direct blow on the front of the shoulder driving the head backwards. The pathoanatomy. That means how can you classify the shoulder dislocation? So it could be anterior dislocation, which is again of three types: preglenoid, subcoracoid, subclavicular. In preglenoid, the head lies in front of the glenoid. Subcoracoid, the head lies below the coracoid process. Subclavicular, the head lies below the clavicle. Now the second type of classification is the posterior dislocation. The head of the humerus comes to lie posteriorly behind the glenoid. And the third is inferior, which is also called as flexator erecta. This is the rare type where the head comes to lie in the subglenoid position. Now diagnosis. The diagnosis of the shoulder dislocation is mainly the presenting complaint. Basically, always the patient is entering the casualty or the clinics with the shoulder abducted and elbow supported with the opposite hand, and there will be always a history or fall on the outstretched hand. On examination, the patient keeps the arm abducted, the normal contour of the shoulder joint is lost and becomes flattened, that is this thing. On inspection, one may notice a fullness below the clavicle due to the displaced head. The following tests are associated with the dislocation, that is a Dugas test, Hamilton ruler test. Confirmatory diagnosis is done by the anterior posterior X-ray of the shoulder. Treatment. The treatment is again divided into two types, that is a conservative one and the techniques of reduction. So conservative treatment of the acute dislocation is under sedation or general anesthesia followed by the immobilization period in the chest arm bandage for 3 weeks. And the reduction techniques used are the Kucher's maneuver and the Hippocrates maneuver. Surgical management. The disability is troublesome. If operation is required, the following operation may be considered, that is the Putty-Platt operation, Bankrut's operation, Bristol's operation and orthoscopic Bankrut's repair. Physiotherapy management. Now the role of the physiotherapy management is important here. So now we will look into the aims of physiotherapy. That is to improve the muscle function, to reduce the risk of reoccurrence, to improve the muscle strength, power and endurance training, to achieve active range of motion, to guide the patient about the knowledge of the personal and environmental factors associated with the condition is increased, to improve the ability to perform activity, task and actions. Physiotherapy management includes phase 1, which is from 0 to 2 weeks. So first we will see the goals of rehabilitation. The first goal is definitely to decrease pain, to reduce the effects of immobilization and to restore the stability and to decrease the pain and inflammation. Rehabilitation protocol. To avoid proactive positions of the shoulder. So you have to teach patient that how he can avoid such position, which basically includes external rotation, abduction and distraction. Immobilization, remove the sling for the exercises. Duration of immobilization is age dependent, which may vary from 3 to 4 weeks. Pain control, reduction by the medications or some therapeutic modalities like the cryotherapy or ice therapy, ultrasound or moist heat can be used. Exercises for the range of motions. Begin with the passive range of motion. You can go with the Codman's pendular exercises, and then we'll start with the rotator cuff strengthening, which is an important part, with the closed chain isometric exercises with elbow flex to 90 degree and arm comfortably at the side. And the scapular stabilizer strengthening, closed chain exercises, that is for scapular retraction, scapular protraction, scapular depressions, shoulder shrugs, and lastly the grip strengthening. Here is the picture showing that how a person can perform the Codman's exercises. These are the pictures showing about the exercises, that is the strengthening exercises for shoulder flexors. The patient can stand facing the wall, attempt to push your fist forwards into the wall. Shoulder extensor, stands with your back to the wall, attempt to press your elbow backwards against the wall. Shoulder abductors, stand with the outside of the affected arm in contact with the wall, attempt to move the whole arm out to the side against the wall. Shoulder adductors, stand with a small rolled up towel under your affected arm, attempt to squeeze the whole arm to your side. External rotators, stand with outside of your hand held against a wall or jammed open door, attempt to move the affected hand outwards. Phase 2. Now phase 2 includes 3 to 4 weeks, and that is the progression is done, and once the pain and tenderness is reduced, the restrictions like shoulder extension and abduction, external rotation should be avoided. Again, the goal is to achieve the 140 degree of forward flexion and 40 degree of external rotation with the arm by the side. Again, the range of motion exercises is implemented here with the active range of motion exercises. It can be done with the pulley or a double stick. Rotator cuff strengthening exercises with the closed chain with elbow flex to 90 degree, arm comfortably by the side. It is done for the internal, external and forward flexions. Again here the scapular stabilizing exercises, which is again an important part of the shoulder exercises. Here is the picture showing you how can you perform the scapular exercises. First thing is you can ask the patient to lie prone on your stomach with the hands resting by the side, forehead resting on a towel, and gently draw your shoulder blade backwards and down and lower the trapezius, and this can be done in the standing position also. Stand facing a wall with your arm resting against it. Set your shoulder blade by drawing it backwards and down to your back. Phase 3 is from 4 to 8 weeks. Here the progression is done with the free range of motion of forward flexion and 40 degree of external rotation is achieved. Minimal pain or tenderness with strengthening exercises, improvement in strength of rotator cuff and scapular stabilizer. The main goal is to enhance strength, power and dynamic stability. The muscle strengthening exercises again includes the rotator cuff strengthening, closed chain with the arm in 35 to 45 degree of abduction, progress to open chain strengthening with TheraBands. The next is usually progression is 2 to 3 weeks interval. If there is any discomfort present, the patient is instructed not to progress further. Continue with the closed chain strengthening exercises, advancing to the open isotonic exercises, and then here we start with initiating the deltoid strengthening. Here is showing the external and internal rotators which can be performed with the TheraBands. Again, this picture is showing how can you perform the TheraBand exercises like external rotation, abduction, extension and internal rotation. Phase 4 is from 8 to 12 weeks. The goal is to improve the shoulder power and endurance, to improve neuromuscular control and proprioception, and to restore full shoulder motion. Here again we will include the range of motion exercises, which now will progress to active assisted and active range, capsular stretchings, muscle strengthening for the rotator cuff, scapular stabilizers, upper extremity endurance, ergometry and PNF patterns for the proprioceptive training. Phase 5 includes, which goes from 12 to 16 weeks. Again here the goal is that we prepare for the gradual return to the functional and the sport activities, achieve a pain-free range of motion, establish home exercise program for both stretching and strengthening. Rehabilitation protocol also includes the functional strengthening, which includes plyometrics, progressive systemic to returning to the sports, wall push-ups, scapular stretches and the PNF patterns. Here is the picture showing how can a patient perform the push-ups against the wall. Here is the picture showing you the PNF patterns, and here the down is showing the capsular stretching, how the patient can perform those capsular stretches. This is about the recent advances. So in the last, the rehabilitation is aimed at normalizing the muscle recruitment patterns around the shoulder girdle, and this involves appropriate facilitation through the kinetic chain. Balance, coordination and core control, all the factors must be addressed with this patient group to optimize the neuromuscular control mechanisms. References. Thank you.